So, this was a very interesting follow-up to the last episode, wasn't it?
Holy mood whiplash, Batman.
I know, right?
Wow, okay.
This was a great idea.
I'm sure that's what they thought at the time.
Best idea.
It's one of those things also, was this villain made up for this show, or is he just like a serious... No, according to the internet, he was invented in 1967. He's just a real C-lister as far as villains go.
Yes. So this is Mad Mod. It certainly was mad.
And we mean that in the terrible pejorative sense that we should probably stop using.
Not today.
Matt, who came up with that name? Who came up with that character, and why? What? Were they smoking too much while watching either Scooby-Doo or Austin Powers? What was going on in the 60s?
That's always the best question to ask. Sadly, there's never an answer. So in this episode, a very British villain named Mad Mod ends up capturing the Teen Titans and is going to take them to school. This is a great first sentence to introduce this episode.
Why aren't these kids in school, to be fair? Admittedly, only one of them actually has a functional secret identity, so he's probably the only one who's actually in school, but still.
Yeah, but Mad Mod hates that the Teen Titans ruins the plans of villains and wants to hypnotize them.
I lost track of what he was trying to hypnotize them for beyond just making them go blah.
I don't know. Robin escapes from his own trap and slowly finds the others as they try to find their way through this strange school of school cliches, robotics, and illusions.
This is a really trippy episode to watch. Wow.
Beast Boy is continually hypnotized but snapped out of it by what has to be considered a gray area of what legally qualifies as comedy. They go through all sorts of weirdness to try to stop Mad Mod, who is presumably controlling all this with his cane, but eventually Robin goes through the cane itself and realizes that he's actually a hologram. So instead he ends up going through the walls into a ventilation shaft to stop all this tech. He then finds the old man who's the real Mad Mod, who instantly surrenders, and then the Teen Titans escape, and that's the episode.
That was indeed an episode that happened.
That was the plot.
A lot of it honestly looks like someone drained the color out of a Beatles record cover and then shoved the Teen Titans in it.
Potentially.
This is definitely not the most serious episode that has ever happened.
No. And just to add to that weirdness to it, Mad Mod... Okay, take a guess. Just take a guess on who voices Mad Mod.
I don't actually know.
Who's like the last name you would predict to be this type of villain? And yet one that is almost fitting in a bizarre, messed up way if you look at it sideways.
God, I don't know. Vic Mignogna?
No, he is voiced by Malcolm McDowell.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
What bet did he lose?
I don't know. Though, as a side note, looking at Malcolm McDowell's career, he kind of, peaked early, let's say. Poor guy.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, to be fair, he does end up, keeping their eyes open to hypnotize them.
So, yeah, there's a bit early on where Robin's going, must not be hypnotized. I'm just like, close your bloody eyes. That's how it works. Beast Boy's the only one that figures out in the course of the episode, and it doesn't. To be fair, it doesn't work out for him, but at least he tried.
Yeah. One of my notes here is just, the 60s.
Off on a sidetrack, you mentioned that occasionally the opening sequence is in English or Japanese, so I've ended up listening really closely, and it's in Japanese again for this one. Is it just alternate episodes it's English and Japanese, or is there a pattern I'm not aware of?
No. The first time they used it in Japanese broke the pattern, for some reason. So the thing is that if the theme song is in Japanese, the episode is gonna be weird.
Okay. Is that just their little shorthand for, don't expect anything serious out of this episode? It's in Japanese now, I guess?
More or less, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of the rule, is that they do the really weird episodes of this.
Like maybe it depends on who's directing each episode or something, but yeah, that was... this definitely was a weird one.
Yeah.
Okay, to be fair, I'm actually looking down the episode list, and a lot of the weird ones were, directed by Ciro Nieli. I'm probably not remotely pronouncing that right. So there's that. The other thing I was wondering if maybe they outsourced to a Japanese studio or something, because there's also early on when Mad Mod's first shown up and he's waving a staff around, there's this bit where he waves his staff at Robin, who flinches before getting electrocuted, and it looks like one of those things when you're watching an anime that's been dubbed and in the original Japanese version somebody's punched somebody else, but now 4Kids has cut it weirdly so there's no punch and someone just falls over with a yell randomly while they're arguing. For a minute there it looked like he'd whacked Robin with the staff and they'd cut that out, which especially in a superhero show would be a really weird time to just tone down the violence.
Yes, it would. Especially after the last episode.
75% of the average superhero show is violence. That's how they solve all their problems.
Yes.
So okay, I wrote down my own pun at one point during this. So they have an evil English teacher. It's not even a good pun.
So the thing about this episode is that it is both, despite any faults it has, I kind of appreciate this episode just for seeing all the weird-ass scenarios they can put into it.
They're definitely doing some creative stuff visually.
Yes.
There was a real clash of artistic influences going on, but during their whole Scooby-Doo Where Are You sequence is pretty fun.
Yeah, and I love any action-oriented sort of series that suddenly just goes into this strange illusion-filled world, and just seeing what crazy stuff they can do with fight scenes.
But yeah, they get pretty Escher-esque at some points.
Yes.
The last time they're fighting in the huge room with bits changing was, I'm reasonably sure in the early YuGiOh manga that was a thing.
Yes. That does sound familiar, actually.
Are you ready for a shadow game, Teen Titans?
That would be the scariest villain of all. The beginning parts. Look at the early parts of Yu-Gi-Oh! Kids. It's a trip.
How many members of the Teen Titans do you think can survive being set on fire? Because that happened a lot.
I know. Oh, God.
On track. I made the note about Beast Boy being empty-headed being nothing new about the same time Raven did.
I think that was, that was the low point. Comedy. I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah, absolutely the worst is... I'm gonna check. What... I'm genuinely curious. What do you call it when someone licks their finger and then sticks it in their ear? Because here it's a wet willy, and then you're obligated to snigger because you said willy.
Yep.
What's it called where you are?
Same thing, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's usually wildly different things in Britain and America. So, but yeah.
Yes.
No, the point is, they're horrible, and why did they have to include that? I think Raven is well within her rights to smite the hell out of Cyborg for that, because Beast Boy and Cyborg being best friends continues to be really kind of cute, though.
Yeah.
Starfires, are all the schools on your planet this horrible? And I actually would have preferred that to my high school, honestly. Fewer angry Englishmen who are terrible teachers.
True. Only one.
Yeah. Exactly, I can work with that. I've got a bit at the end where Robin's school always seems smaller after you graduate. It's you're 14, and you are probably the only one here who is actually going to school.
I know, right? I do love how, during this, Robin was taking all of it seriously. That made it great.
The whole reality warp thing was taken so seriously. To be fair, there's a good number of Gotham villains who mess with your head, so it's probably not the first time he's seen this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was just so serious about this Scooby-Doo Yellow Submarine Wonderland they find themselves stuck in.
Yes.
Whatever the hell was going on.
I actually have a lot to say about the little things about this series, or this episode. But the main one is, first of all, this episode had some just goofy, quotes.
It definitely had that.
I love Starfire's reaction to trying to be hypnotized. I will not read your book of meanness and swirls.
Oh, I love that bit. Oh, Starfire, my precious
That's a
Starfire.
fantastic line. I don't think anything's ever been described quite that way. Book of meanness and swirls.
I generally love how they write Starfire's dialogue. Like, it's so obviously second language, and it's adorable.
Yes.
I work in a gift shop, so see tourists from all around the world have varying degrees of English, which I'm not going to judge anyone for, they're just here on holiday. But sometimes have really creative ways of explaining things that they don't know the word for, and my favourite continues to be describing an umbrella as a roof on a stick. Absolute favourite thing.
Roof on a stick.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, basically what it is.
Yeah. I love when Robin gives Starfire the hypnotized Beast Boy. Here's your hall pass.
Yes.
Really?
Here's your hall pass. Let's go.
And again, he just says it with such seriousness. So
yeah.
And Raven, he said that might be the best joke. He said Raven to gym class. What even?
And she's
Why?
still wearing like the weird tank top and shorts that she was putting.
Yeah.
And just, again, her stamped down response to getting the wet willy, and then just the glare at Cyborg. The murder glare.
And I loved Starfire's attempts to make Beast Boy laugh with just this alien joke that no one could get.
It was utterly untranslatable.
Yes, he says the punchline so sincerely.
She's so sincere in everything. I love her for it.
I actually do have a slight explanation for this episode.
Do you know what they were smoking?
No, but I actually totally get what they were trying to do. And actually, even the Scooby-Doo bit actually makes sense in some weird way. Because you think, hey, let's put the Teen Titans in a Scooby-Doo montage with J-pop. And you'd think that'd be the most insane thing ever.
And it was. That doesn't mean it wasn't fun. It's just definitely a new one on me.
Yeah, but it actually makes complete sense because... Okay, let me just go with me on this. Okay, so Teen Titans is a series that tries to combine stylistically 60s comic books with Japanese anime. So, with that in mind, this is a British villain from the 60s, and they do a Scooby-Doo montage, which used hippie music, which was heavily influenced by British music in the 60s, but instead they had J-pop because that's what the series is going for. That's why they did it.
I am starting to get where the cultural influences are coming from. They're fucking weird, but okay.
Yes.
The result definitely could have been worse.
I did love the short thing where they just turned into a random hippie band.
Yeah, they did for like 20 seconds, and you're just, even they have no idea what the hell is going on at this point.
Yes, of course they were required to do the one shot with the hallway with
the hallway and the doors and running in and out and weird things are coming in and out the door. I think that is required.
That is required by law if you reference Scooby-Doo to put that in somewhere.
No, it's absolutely obligated. They're lucky none of the Teen Titans have glasses, because then they'd have to lose them and explain that they can't see anything without their glasses, Scooby.
Yes, but, and I also love how just surreal they even made that. Like, the characters just, like, with change sizes, and, like, Beast Boy could just swim, with the whale for no reason.
Yeah. They have done the chibification thing before. They do sort of a version of it at another point in the episode when Starfire is failing to wake up Beast Boy and Robin's response is a bit what? But like they have done the chibification, the chibi thing before for comedic effect.
Yeah.
To greater or lesser effect.
I think this is, the episode mostly just succeeds for watching just to see what sort of weird thing will happen next.
Yeah, you're just like, what is going on and where is it going?
Yes.
Find out on Teen Titan.
Also, by the way, the Japanese song was done by the same people who did do the opening song. If you look through the meaning of the song, the censors probably didn't look into what the song actually meant in English.
Yeah,
I'll just say that.
To be fair, it's I have not actually looked up the lyrics for that one. It's a Puffy Amiyumi song, right?
Yes.
Do you know what the song's called? I'm curious now about the lyrics.
I'm not sure, but I looked up Puffy Amiyumi and it wasn't hard to find, so... I want to say it's just a few letters as the title or something like that.
K2G is what's coming up for the song in the episode Mad Mode.
That sounds right. Yeah, if you look at the lyrics, they're pretty clearly about... Well, you can guess.
Well, yeah, okay, there's one that's sensing the far-off day I make love with the first girl. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But see, it's not in English, so it's only small Japanese children that are getting scarred for life by Actually, Japanese children are definitely not getting scarred for life by a song vaguely alluding to sexual intercourse.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the absolute worst thing they've ever seen in their animated programming.
Absolutely no.
Just seriously.
It is one of those things where it's like where shows get something in a foreign language and they don't really care about what it means in the translated language, but can sometimes have really funny results to people who speak that language.
Yes.
I think my favourite story on this account is someone saying that I think a lot of background aliens in the first 3 Star Wars movies were speaking Swahili, and they were told to just sound foreign, but like there's a middle of a battle where someone yells, "I've lost my watermelon" in Swahili, which apparently made like audiences in parts of Africa just crack up during a battle scene they probably weren't supposed to laugh during.
That sounds awesome.
It's what happens when you tell people to just sound foreign, because it's rude. Didn't Puffy you mean you used to have a cartoon on? I seem to remember seeing the adverts for that, probably in between Teen Titans adverts.
Probably. Yeah, that was a show that existed. And from everything I understand, it basically only existed.
I'm sure it did. I don't necessarily have a tremendous amount to say about this episode, except that it was creative.
Yes. It certainly was.
I don't know much beyond that. I don't know about you.
There were actually a couple other little things I liked. I liked when the part where the stairs fall in the montage, but Starfire and Raven could just fly, so they're just like, eh.
They're not fussed.
Yeah, what's it? By the way, the stairs falling, turn into like a slide, that's another obvious Scooby-Doo thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I love the part after that where everyone is charging in to fight Mad Mod, but Raven is just awkwardly stuck with Beast Boy. he's just like,
It's like, really?
Yeah, and one last thing is, how easy is it to suggest that someone should just put Teen Titans Go footage over the hypno screens?
And that blanks their minds.
Yep.
See, I still haven't seen any Teen Titans Go. It's just that a lot of people that I trust and have recommended good cartoons to me tell me not to watch Teen Titans Go.
I've seen reviews of some of the more infamous episodes.
Oh dear.
It's at least interestingly awful.
You
ever seen a show where the writers are clearly insecure about critics?
I'd say the first things that come to mind are in fact terrible superhero movies rather than terrible TV shows, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's interesting. Oh god.
So is it one of those things where they come off like they're embarrassed to be making a superhero cartoon, or...?
Not exactly.
I may, if I'm truly deeply bored with my life, check it out someday, but...
No.
Right now I have Teen Titans and I still haven't watched Yuri on Ice, so I have more important things to be doing.
Yes. Anything else.
Literally anything else.